workshop. I think there have been a few new pages put into your booklets, and most of them are for Department 670, which is general. We got something from Freestone County Soil and Water Conservation. It's page 42, requesting that we place within our 2025 budget a request for them for $2,000. That's generally what we help them with. And also, we got a request for funding from CASA. That is section 40, that's page 42 also, behind 42. And they are requesting $18,000. That's what we had before, had furnished them with. If you look at page 42, kind of flip back there because we're now getting some things from different departments to put in the book. That 670 is pretty close to the back. And then on your sheet, CASA, that 2024 budget column there, you'll see that we had funded them $8,000 last year, and they're asking for $8,000 again. And it talks about how many people that they have served, how many families, and that is a court-appointed special advocate volunteer. They have served 53 children in this so far in this year. They've been assigned 100% of all cases since the inception. 11 children were returned to home. And then there are 30 cases that are still pending, I think. It says that the volunteers have driven 27,288 miles. They have 30 trained volunteers, 10 board members, and 3 CASA staff. So most of that is volunteer. We got also information from our Railroad Museum telling what all they have done and plan to do in the future. They have a lot of fundraisers and they've worked on a lot of projects. They've completed the Benny Walker Annex, replaced the first floor HVAC unit, restored the 1928 fire truck.
It's pretty cool too.
And the first floor restoration. And the ongoing work right now is to replace the ramp to the caboose and the locomotive, cover all outdoor AC units, insulate the attic of the depot. They need a new HVAC for the second floor. The Pioneer building needs remodeling and a second floor restoration. Those are ongoing, and then they have future projects here, and they're asking for us to include them within the budget also. And
they'd like to have the same amount as last year.
Yes, and I believe that was that 15,000?
20.
Railroad 15.
20 last year.
Was it 20 last year, or what did I get 15?
It's 22, it was 15. The last 2 years it's been
15, fire, 15.
Did we want, thank you. Do we want to read that 20?
I do. Oh, yeah. Y'all, I've got, it's been bothering me since I got home here, and I haven't really, I've kind of, this money to the Freestone County Fair Association, and y'all know I'm supported it all the time I was looking at it. I just, there's so many other things, there's other things out there. Don't get me wrong, I just, where do you draw the line if somebody else comes in? I mean, I know y'all started it at the 100, hadn't done it up to the 100th year, right prior to me, the year I came in, y'all already, but I don't think we'd done anything before that, had we?
No, we did not.
And I don't think it's right, because there's so many other organizations out there, and when they come to us, I mean, where do you start? Where do you start,
Yeah.
And once again, y'all know I was on the board and for nearly 20 years and helped with that, but I mean, without just going, we can just keep naming similar things that are going on. And if they come to it, I mean, everything else is pretty well that we're doing are historical, for children. We're maintaining our historical deals, and I think we have a responsibility to do that. I don't have a problem with that, to preserve that. I really don't think, I think we need to draw the line. And that's my opinion. I mean, y'all can vote on it or whatever, but it's been kind of bothering me because there's just so many other organizations out there that are 501c, whatever, same thing, nonprofit, and we chose them. And, I mean, that's my opinion.
I don't think we've had a request of it.
No.
Museum, you already think tape?
Yes.
Museum?
I think that's where I got the 15 off that.
Yeah.
They're requesting 15
Yeah.
again.
The Veterans Park, they go on,
Same amount. I didn't have anything on that one yet.
they have several deals there throughout the year.
Which one is that, what is that wheel place, it's still on 40?
Yeah, it's on Bender, about right underneath the railroad museum.
Oh, God, you got.
I know we started last year so they could keep it open for sure.
Rudy Bradley, and yes, they did. And we don't have theirs yet, so we didn't know what requests that they have for this year. Veterans was 2,500.
Libraries, anything, either library, either purchase, libraries, today,
We haven't had it yet. They usually come give us a presentation.
yeah, either two. Let's get it booked.
And they did away with the Streetland historical thing, didn't they?
They did. They sold the building and
And you got rid of
everything.
the moral.
Yeah.
The 15.6 on the ADA compliance, was that for the parking lot over here? We put in there last year?
For over here.
Yeah. We're gonna redo the parking lot, tax on.
All we ever did was try to get some bids, but we never did.
Okay.
We didn't budget for it. We talked about it there last year, but we never did.
We did budget for it, but we just never did it because we didn't get it.
I remember God,
I did get a bid, but we never did. I think I don't know if it was cost prohibitive, but it was a lot more expensive than
Is
we
that,
thought.
that what 15.6 was in there for last year?
Because of the access
Yeah.
over there. That's what we talked about. I know you worked on it and got to try to get some people to come look, and what did you say that?
I did finally get one bid back. It was pretty expensive.
Yeah, I remember it being.
From my memory, I want to say it was about $70,000 for the whole, for all of it, so.
And that's why it didn't get done.
I think, from my memory, that's why we didn't do it.
15 and.
That's why we quit talking about it, Dan.
Yeah.
I knew he worked on it, yeah.
So we're gonna just mark that out.
We might need to do a little work over there, but nothing like what we had talked about. Yeah, so we probably won't even budget for nothing. All right. We do need to talk to the, Moody Bradley House people. They have not brought us anything yet. I believe we have much information for everyone. Everything is pretty well the same. I haven't seen any large requests of anything unusual. We've had to, raise some, like supplies and other things, fuel, utilities that are, have been things that have increased in value recently. I was needing information about unusual things that we need to put in. We have the litigation, we kind of talked about that. What, have you thought about it a little more?
Not for the number, Judge. Maybe get you a number before next time, kind of just shooting in the dark, right? It's just gonna be something to put in there to try to help the budget if it needs to be used this next budget year, which it should be. That last time, if I remember correctly, I didn't see the bills come through necessarily, but we talked kind of on a weekly basis that, with the insurance policy, I think the defense attorneys are paid for, but not experts or things like that. So, now are experts going to get involved in the next budget year? I don't think so, but that's hard, that's a little harder to predict, right? So I think we just need to come up with a number that we feel like is appropriate to help the budget if it needs to be used, if we want it budgeted.
Yeah. Well, there is always a possibility that we may have some type of court action within the next year,
Definitely so.
but not getting heavily into it yet.
That's the hard part. I think, you're going to see court action, just what expenses are going to come from that court action. If I remember correctly, Judge, last time, which I may not, is I think we had a line item in my budget with $15,000 or $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. I think you put aside some 500,000 or something.
Yeah, that was when we knew we were already into a capital funding situation.
Yes.
You know, if we're just knowing kind of what's been going along, we may get into something, but we may not. So we won't budget 500,000, because if we do get into that, might have some legal expenses to deal with, but probably not get into the more detailed expert witness situation that quick, will we?
I agree completely. Yes, ma'am. I don't think that that's necessary right now. I think we can put, what I'm thinking about is 10, 15, 20,000
Yeah.
dollars, whether you want to put it in my budget or set it aside somewhere else to be used, like that's up to y'all, how you want to kind of.
I think we'll just put in the capital litigation line item. We can transfer it then as needed.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna put, since we're all gonna put it one in the same line item, I'm gonna put 50,000. Then we'll get into where you need witness money or whatever, or testing or whatever, we can transfer.
Yes, ma'am. And again, my best prediction is I don't think in this next budget year, there's going to be a lot of expenses. That's my prediction. So depending on how you want to budget that and how much money you want to put in, I don't think there's going to be a lot. I think maybe we move forward with something, be that next budget year that you'd be looking at kind of the heavy lifting. But who knows, you know, cases can get resolved and things like that. So we haven't made final decisions either way as it comes with that case.
But I can see that there may be some expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
Whether it's, you never know, examinations,
Yes, ma'am.
what kinds of things, yeah. Okay, all right, that sounds good. Now, we've talked about cameras in a lot of places. All right. We've got the information from the LGS system, so I'm gonna budget 112,500. Karen, are we gonna want to divide this up between the different offices that are using that? You know, like we do net data, or? We have, I mean, we can figure that out because we.
Per user fee.
Yes, I
That's
mean,
so many
it's,
users in each office.
well, but we have 65,000 initial. Are we gonna see how many people are in each office and divide it up by that, but for all of that? Or the initial, and the per person after that would be, we could budget for it. You know, there are some things like utilities, we don't.
Right, and that's what I'm thinking, because we just can, I mean, because at the end of the day, we're paying it anyway. It doesn't matter if it's in the JP office, or if it's the courthouse, or the DA's office, or whatever, you know, those things. And so if y'all wanted to, we could continue to do it the way we're doing it with net data. We do the, you know, whatever it is, for the DA's part, and so forth. Now, I know there's setup fees, conversion fees, and all those things. And for that, I think we should
We
just
can pay for
take,
the initial out of 670,
yes,
the initial.
yes.
And then knowing how many users we have and how much it is, we can estimate for each office.
Right.
Okay.
How much you put in
I'm gonna put 65,000 in.
one? 670.
Yes.
jump 350.
670, 430. I put 50 in there. But that was for, like, if you look on the bottom there, the postage machine, the cloud, syrup, that. So I'm gonna add that 65,000 to the 50.
Okay. Should be 115.
Mhm. LGS is what that is. LGS. So that line item, 670, 430 will be 115,000. And then we'll just figure out the users and increase that on the individual people. Okay, the cameras for the tax office, new tax office, will be this year. What are we thinking about cameras in other areas? I know we need to put some lights in, we can do that this year though.
We talked about it in the last session, for the records building.
Yeah. Do we want to budget for, cameras for probation, new cameras for the jail and the JP annexes?
I think we should.
Well, the ones that are not sufficient enough to do what they're supposed to do.
Like the JP office, they're not working at all. They're not even on, well, nothing on the elections building or the records building where the elections are. There are 2 cameras in there that are supposedly still hooked up and they report back to a disk or something and nobody has pulled or monitored or they're antiquated. You might as well say we have.
We talked to Larry yesterday, before tonight, 3 different companies operating that we, and nothing still works.
Well,
Yeah,
when you count the door locks, no maintenance contract,
yeah.
uh,
Guy comes out of Oklahoma City or something,
right?
to work on.
Panic buttons were different,
Yeah, panic buttons were different, the
cameras.
cameras were different,
Right.
and the door locks were different. What's got a good deal on it?
We do need some cameras in various places. We surely do.
But the expense is in the doors, the door locks, or
Mhm.
the secured access or whatever it is.
Mhm.
But like, Brian, do you think you need that at your office?
I like it personally. I mean, we operated with a key before, so I'm not gonna tell you that we can't operate with a key again, right? But I tend to like the key card access. It definitely, the reason I like it, it's kind of a small thing, again, that can be fixed other ways. That side door is about to fall apart. You know, it's hard to unlock, it's old. That key card, man, it works perfect. The back door is the same way. It's big, heavy, but it's old. That key card seemed to really help those doors out. Again, not saying we don't have another solution for that, right? But I personally like them, just depending on what the court wants to do.
What about your office, Renee?
We like them, but, I mean, we could use a key, well, I really don't have a preference.
So one of the things that was looked at during that too is fire code, that you have to be able to have egress without turning a lock because of fire code, so that is another thing to look at. You have to have egress at a public building. It's partial.
I know that's what, and maybe my memory is wrong, because I'm going back some years, but we had to have a safety meeting. The district judge and the personnel, the sheriff was there, I was there, we talked about locking down the courthouse, right? There's so many entries and things like that. And that was one of the big problems, is being able to lock it, hey, that's great, but being able to get out,
Yes.
right? If you lock it by a key. So I don't know if that's what we're talking about
Well, it's
right
not
now.
even just a key, you have to have egress, you either have to have the breakaway doors where you can access it by pushing it with any part of your body, and the reason for that is because in a fire, sometimes people get their hands burnt, so they have to be able to go out of the building without having to turn a knob or whatever, so you either have to have where you can push a door open.
And so that's where the key card came in pretty well from the courthouse perspective, to be able to lock it down, but also be able to get out. Because they looked at the push on those old doors, I think that wasn't really gonna work or anything like
Well,
that.
from my understanding here at the courthouse was the historical commission would not let them put the bars, so that's why we had to go with the magnetic lock, that when you approach that door, it immediately unlocks, and you can push it with any part of your body to go out.
Okay, now ours has the bar across the door.
Yes.
And you have to push it to get out.
So some buildings do have the bars, and if your building wasn't historically whatever, then the bars, you already had them would work, but
That,
you just can't.
getting out doesn't
Not
matter. It does, does not matter if you have a key or a fob. You hit the bar to get out. And when our fob wasn't working, of course, we used our key to get in.
Yeah, so the difference in what we're talking about is the key fob is the lock and unlock the door, but I'm just saying is for the security and the fire codes, you have to be able to have a egress, which means you have to be able to get out that door without having to turn something,
Yeah.
push a handle as far as grabbing it with a hand.
So buildings with an egress would not need the card.
I mean, you're gonna have to have some system on it.
Depends on what kind of door they have, though,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. If it has an egress, then you don't need the key, or you can use a key. Because
So
it's
what are
coming
you
out.
gonna use to lock it?
That's what I'm saying, it has an egress. You just said it has to have an egress or you can't use that's why they use the key card, right?
No. No, you use the key card to get in and out of the door, and it says who's coming in and who's going out, and that's giving you access. You're using egress to exit the building.
And it allows the old doors to make it.
Well, but it would be like on this building, if we didn't have those key cards, then you would have to leave the back door unlocked,
Yes.
so people could come in and go out.
And not be able to have to turn a knob or anything.
And
Which it used to be.
like it used to be.
Yeah.
And we have to use the key, the cards.
I just know some of these offices will be different than others.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
It is handy to.
Well, and for
just-
security reasons, if you want everybody to come in that front door so they can check them, then that's why having the card is easier, because we can go in and out with that without.
And it is logging everyone who comes into your building, and if somebody leaves disgruntled, then you're able to go into that system and deactivate their thing so that they cannot get into your building. And so, I mean, it has a lot of features that are nice, and I know it was mentioned one time saying, well, we could do the same thing with cameras. Well, who's gonna sit and go through hours of camera when, with that, you've got one entry, you go look up that name and boom, it's right there for you. Or you go look at that door, or you go look at that, whatever you're looking at.
Them cameras are supposed to have AI,
Oh, yeah, that's
facial
true, they mentioned
recognition,
that.
and all that, so you can
Speak to it.
tell it to pull up the video with the woman with the green purse
Yeah.
left with a bad attitude. Yeah.
Scowl on the face.
Ooh, true that.
Yeah, like I said, I would like to keep, for my office, my opinion is I like to keep cards a lot, again, but not looking at the whole budget or what it costs or anything like
Well, and
that.
you know, that's the other thing, if there are just certain places that you do want to keep the key card, they don't have to all be integrated, do they?
I don't
I don't know about that. You know, as far as y'all have the same system as we have, and it, well, I guess so, it's sort of
It's
going
security,
down.
security versus convenience.
Yeah.
Some people want it because they like getting in and out of their office that way. From a security standpoint, if we're gonna, use the same company, same cameras down there throughout.
Security access.
Shipping, what'd you say it cost for them to come from Oklahoma the other day?
About over $2,000, I think is what it is. Yeah, and I've had to call twice this year.
And that was for the door?
Yeah, we couldn't get in. We had no access, we had to call, they had to turn it completely off, which left our building open. And so we just had to keep checking it, monitoring it, until they came and fixed it, and then they fixed it, and then it happened again.
I know when, I talked to Dane about this for budgetary purposes, trying to figure out who's got what, who needs what. What he was gonna do is he was just gonna do a sketch of each building, identify the doors, what type of locks they have on them now. And we could talk to each department about this is what you got, what you need, and then we could get a camera count and all that. I personally would like to see some cameras. I don't know what kind of door lock they got. Nobody's griped about the door or anything else, but our probation department over here, that's somewhere where people with a history are going in and out, and there's not much protection for them, and I think that's a very important place for us to get some cameras. I guess,
Yeah, we
do
need
they have a
some.
panic button in the
I think they do.
probation? They do.
I think so, I think all of them.
I would like to see all panic buttons be with one company. We would get service for the company out of Buffalo.
All right, get Dane to work on that, we'll come back to it. All right, are there any other big projects that we're thinking about? Who are our projects?
Ever since February. It did just kind of dawn on me, I've had so many other things I've thought about, but I've been thinking about, but we had discussed the possibility of a drive-through for the tax office, and that was something that, at the time, court wanted to wait till the next budget cycle to think about. I don't have any kind of estimation on cost, but while we are talking about the budget, if that's something that y'all would
That
think.
drive-through window still in the JP on the over there, or they take it out and set it outside?
It's there, but they don't use it.
But it's still in the wall. I knew there was one over there, but I just didn't know. Somebody told me one time those things are extremely expensive. It might be worth taking that out and breaking that up. We just had to see what one cost. Somebody, it might have been you or Dane or somebody back
Dane,
there.
I think,
Talked about it, he priced one and it was scary.
Just, okay.
And I don't know
It's
that I
a
would.
big metal slide-in unit.
I don't know that we would need anything that big, but if there's something that can be salvaged that we could use, that would certainly be something to consider. But the way our building is, there's a concrete sidewalk around it. So there's gonna have to be some kind of concrete work done, either some demo to take that out, or probably least invasive would be to add on to that, so that the vehicle could be a flat surface to pull up. But maybe a small awning just for rain and stuff, but concrete work, I don't know what kind of cost.
Maybe we wouldn't have to have a slide out. Maybe we could just have like a bars on the windows, and you could just open the window and they could hand it to you. It's not. If we had an awning on it, you wouldn't need necessarily a.
It could be akin to fast food, something like that. We don't have big items coming in and out, heavy stuff. It's just papers, envelope size stuff, so. But I think that would be a good service to the public, disabled folks. Just something to consider.
Thank you. I wrote that.
Might be a community project.
All right, anything else that y'all can think of?
20 acres in Duke County Farm, that was my precinct. That's not a report.
Yep.
Page 45, we should, page 45. We gonna still do all this to the fire department?
Well,
Did I get?
what we'll do, if it's all right, we can write in, what we've done before, so we can total it up, unless we know that there's, for example, the fire departments, that's 700. It's way in the back, page 45. We have been doing 20,000 for a grant match. And then 10 to each fire department. You know, we talked about maybe some needed more, but we've never changed it. We've always done 10 to each department.
We've also used the 650 to take care of a lot of those needs, so we didn't have to give more money.
Right.
And tires and fixing pumps and stuff. I mean, I think we've got a pretty good shape right now, really.
Okay, so do 10 on each fund, and then we raised that to the 125 because there was something, wasn't it a fire truck that we were gonna have to pay for or something like that, and that's why we wrote, raised it up to the 125. What do we want to put on that 650 line item?
So far, we've used, well, this was back in May, I'm not sure, but 73,000 is what we
That's
used.
what the fuel comes out of.
Yes.
You don't tolerate.
There's 26,000 left in there now.
Right.
26,000 something left in there, left in there.
That number's pretty tight.
So stay with the 125.
Yeah.
We took it, we also added another 50,000 in there during the year.
For capital outlay.
Yeah, it's in there.
All right, I'll put that in there again, the 50 and the 125. And then 10,000 for each department. All right. What about ambulances? We haven't gotten anything for them. That's on page 44. Stay with what we got.
I think so.
Amen.
That's what I say.
Well, since you're here, do you want to talk about anything on yours?
Oh, I just, one thing that I was just thinking of, since they're gonna, put the dispatch over there, we got our own, frequency for the constables. It's in my office. End up, they might wanna have that frequency installed over there. Our repeater is a complete different, higher from the sheriff. I don't know exactly where y'all out here on this tower?
It's out here on the,
Well, ours is on the K and S tower, it's about 275 foot in the air. But, just didn't know if they might want to put that frequency, whoever with the dispatcher station. Some storm comes along, they, knocks their system out, they still like to be able to use ours, since ours is on a different tower. It's just a suggestion.
All right. Is anything else that you want to talk about today? We need to, surely,
Well, there's one thing we hadn't talked about, and that's what about raises?
well, we kind of talked about it as far as think about it. That's about as far as we got. If you like, I'll go ahead and put everything in the way it is right now. And that way, we can look at the totals on it, knowing that we're gonna have to change whatever. But, I'll let you know what you want to do right now.
The only reason I raised my salary because of Joe Biden's grocery bills.
Okay? Well, that's good. Let's put it all in and then look at it.
We'll get a whole new, we start budgeting.
No, you're gonna have the same one. I'm gonna put it all in one thing, just like our budget looks like. But you'll still have the same sheets.
We went through about 10 of them last year, that's why I'm wondering.
No, we're just using this one. This is it.
So we just update this one as we go.
The written one, but now we may have 10 of the printed ones before we get through, but yes. Okay, so we're going with no other big projects. That's really what we throws a kink in it, and hopefully by,
Cameras and security, that's something we talked about. I'll
Yes.
get more information on that.
yeah. All right. Hopefully we'll know maybe by this next meeting, if we're gonna get the, grant for the restoration. But that won't make any difference, because we'll budget that out of, surplus. All right. Keep it. Okay. Anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.